So, hey, folks, this is Bob, and it's really a delight to be here this afternoon with Dr. John Westerdahl. Now, many of you know John because he is a prolific poster in 360 Connect. We really appreciate his wonderful insights. But today we're going to be talking about something that I think is really, really critical because we've been doing a lot of challenges. We did the Rainbow Challenge, which was absolutely wonderful. So, we're focusing on the diet, what we put in our mouth. And I'm sure John will agree that this is absolutely crucial. But there is a question: how do you actually optimize nutrition? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So allow me to read John's bio, which is really impressive, and then we'll get to it. I'll just ask him a few questions and he'll hold for us. So John, thank you for being here with us today.
Great to be here, Bob, with you today.
Okay, so Dr. Westerdahl is an internationally recognized authority in the fields of food, nutrition, and wellness. He is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, certified nutrition specialist, health scientist, health educator, and radio talk show host. Currently in private practice as a nutrition and lifestyle medicine consultant, Dr. Westerdahl previously served as the chair of the Vegetarian Nutrition Dietetic Practice Group of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the director of the Bragg Health Foundation, the director of Wellness and Lifestyle Medicine and Nutritional Services for Adventist Health, Castle Medical Center in Hawaii, director of the Murad Inclusive Health Center and Murad Inclusive Health Medical Group in Los Angeles, a nutrition editor for Veggie Life magazine. He also worked as a nutritionist and health scientist for various companies, including Bragg Live Foods Products, Mr. McDougall's Right Foods, Shaklee Corporation, which of course, where we all remember him, right, and Murad Inc. In developing several state-of-the-art food, nutritional, and herbal products and formulations that have been marketed worldwide. His weekly radio talk show, Health and Longevity, is broadcast nationally and on the Life Talk Radio Network. So, John, that ain't the half of it. well, we'll leave it at that. And we remember you fondly as the person who brought us our herbal line. I think when you came to Shaklee,
right,
we had Herblax, and that was about it.
Alpha, that was it.
Oh yeah, Herblax Alfalfa, Dr. Shaklee's original, which I still used.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I ordered a bottle of alfalfa myself today. But we're here today to talk about, you've had a storied career, working with some of the really greatest people in the nutritional science, Dr. Linus Pauling among them, and now you're in private practice. The first question that comes to mind is, since we have been focusing on food, and clearly we don't want to eat a poor diet. We want to, your whole career is maximizing the potential of the diet that we eat and making it palatable and great and everything. So where does nutritional supplementation fit in? So
well, I'm glad you talked about the diet, because I always start off that way, because I've been in both worlds. I've been in the world of people that say, get it all from your food, you can get everything you need. And then I've been in the world of nutrition supplements. And sometimes in that world, people think, well, I'll just eat whatever I want. I take my supplements and that takes care of it. But really the foundation of good nutrition is the food that you eat. I have an herbal medicine background, and they always say, well, what's the most important herb? I say, well, the most important herbs are the ones you eat 3 times a day in your meals. That's, in other words, fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So it's important to eat a healthy diet, and unfortunately, most people don't. Only 9 to 10% of the people eat the fruits and vegetables that they should be eating. And that's the minimum, 5. So the average American eats 9% of what they should be getting, 9% of what they should be getting a day in vegetables, and about 12% in fruits, and that's about 10% overall. However, that's the minimum. Just to meet your nutritional needs. Actually, when we talk about optimal, you should be eating 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Now, how many people do that? And I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, and I don't eat 9 a day every day. That's a lot, but that's what we should be eating to make sure we get what we need in our food. So my position is that the first foundation is the healthy diet. And I'm a big advocate of eating a healthy plant-based diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, plant bases of protein as Shackley pioneered years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the foundation. However, to really achieve optimal nutrition, we're fortunate in our country. In a lot of countries, they can hardly get enough to eat just to meet their nutritional needs, but we can get what we need from a healthy diet, but also we can take advantage of technology and science and research. And that's where nutritional supplementation comes in, because nutritional supplementation can optimize our nutritional intake that goes beyond just getting the minimum that you need for not having a deficiency disease, but actually for preventing disease and potential reversing certain diseases.
I think that's the crucial thing. You shared with us, and actually it's posted in 360 Connect, a wonderful interview with Dr. Linus Pauling and Dr. Gladys Block from UC Berkeley School of Public Health. About 10 years before Dr. Block actually did the very first landmark study for Shackley,
Right.
through UC Berkeley School of Public Health. And they were talking about wildly more, let's say, milligrams of vitamin C, for instance, than the RDA. And they had the discussion, and Dr. Pauling was there and saying, well, his research, and he has 2 Nobel Prize, not 1, but 2, and he said he takes 10 grams of vitamin C, which is a lot, given that the RDA is how many?
Well, that's the daily value recommended, at least get 60 milligrams a day, but that's a very small amount.
Yeah, that has a very small amount. But he was making the point that it isn't that expensive to do that. And he saw big physiological benefits. And
right.
Of course, looking at him at this time, a completely undiminished man. I mean, he was clearly older.
He was in his 90s.
In his face, he was 92 years old, and the guy was just sharp as a tack,
right.
and still active and still doing research, and didn't sound old or feel old. I mean, you could tell from the outside of his body, but there wasn't anything old about the way he was functioning. And so I think that's what we want to get at, because I think many people say, well, why would I invest in supplements if I can get really everything that I need from food? And let's assume that you do a pretty good job with your diet. Some people do a pretty good job. I'd say I'd put myself in the pretty good category, pretty good to pretty good plus, because I do really consciously eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, particularly when my garden's going. It's like, wow, like real easy to do that, real easy to do that. But I don't, as you pointed out, get 9 servings of fruits and vegetables absolutely every day. So there is a level of supplementation that is just to get us up to kind of level. Then there's a level of supplementation well beyond that can get us to optimal. So talk to us about that.
Well, in talking about Dr. Pauling, I was honored. When I was senior nutritionist at Shackley, I also did some work with Dr. Linus Pauling and helping him. I was an assistant nutritionist to him and helping him write his letters. He got hundreds of letters every week and lots of nutrition questions and I thought that was a really good balance while I'm working with him and also at Shackley, because he really made people aware of, okay, yes, you can get your daily requirements, through your diet, but most people don't. That's what the research shows. Even diet, listen, I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I know lots of dietitians and professional nutritionists. I know they're not getting their daily requirements even, and some of them are anti-supplements, like, oh no, you can get it all from fruit. Well, I know they're not. So they're definitely not.
But maybe you can, right? I'm not doing it, but maybe you can. Right?
You have to be really. That's why I promote a plant-based diet, because that's that type of diet you're going to more apt to get to that level than you would on just a typical American diet, the SAD diet. I call the standard American diet.
The question is, I mean, there seems to be 2 levels. First of all, you need supplementation just to get level, just so you're not going into deficiency.
Right. Yeah. What is the optimal level? See, we are all biological individuals, as Dr. Roger Williams would say. And optimal for you is different than optimal for me or somebody else. And that's why the big emphasis today in nutrition that we call personalized nutrition, taking a look at a person's lifestyle, looking at their chemistry to get an idea, what is your optimal level? But I'd say the majority of cases, the optimal level of nutrients, such as vitamin C, is not going to be met just by diet alone for most people. And we're privileged in, that we can take advantage of the modern science and take a supplement. The technology, just in one Vital E tablet, it's amazing what goes on into that in getting the best ingredients and putting it in one. So you get, in fact, by the way, I was, one of the highlights of my career at Shackley was not necessarily the formulas that I developed, but one of my assignments was to help update Dr. Shackley's original formula. And that was kind of a hard thing to do because, it's kind of a sacred formula. Dr. Shackley formulated, but Dr. Shackley always said, science doesn't stand still and neither do we. So we actually were where we had 100% of the daily value for vitamin C, the science was showing we need more, at least 200 or so percent, just to saturate the tissues, and the studies were coming out. So we upped it to 200% of the daily value. We did that for that. And we also worked on the other antioxidants, the vitamin E and so forth. So optimal levels often will be much higher than your minimum daily requirements or your daily value. They're going to be significantly higher. Yeah. So optimal level is what Dr. Pauling, he referred to it as orthomolecular nutrition, orthomolecular medicine, that he pioneered that. Orthomolecular means the right molecule at the right dose. In other words, and those molecules have to be the right molecule because it needs to be something that our bodies are naturally attuned to, as opposed to drugs. Yeah. This is interesting because Dr. Pauling always would point out how the drugs that are prescribed by the physician, usually they give them at a high enough level to, a little bit higher or more could kill you. It's actually poisonous. But they give it a very high amount, and some of those do a lot of damage to the body and they have side effects. However, vitamins are natural. Now, minerals are a little different. So you have to keep minerals within a safe range and so forth. But vitamins in foods, you can take large amounts of them and there's no side effects. And that's been proven by Shackley distributors for decades, right? And for people that have been taking
in the living lab, yes, right.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't see people dying off because they're taking too much. No, because it's a natural substance that our body is used to. It's not a foreign drug or anything. So I really feel that if you really want to optimize your nutrition, to optimize your disease prevention, to optimize your anti-aging, and longevity and health vitality, you need to take more optimal levels of nutrients. And that varies with individuals. That's what I do with my nutrition counseling, help people to kind of guide them to find out where they are, what their health and lifestyle is. Because, for instance, as we get older, we don't absorb our nutrients as well. That's been proven. You see people in the nursing homes, they're not getting enough zinc. They don't absorb their B12 as much. They have to, you'd have to get supplements to make sure they're getting more optimal levels. So that's what, we have stress, we got our physical activity, the super athletes that we're working with, in Olympics and so forth. It was at Shackley, and I worked with some of the Olympic athletes when I was there with the Stanford swim team. They, just to maintain their weight, they need to have 6,000 calories because the workouts that they have, and that you need those nutrients like the B vitamins, for instance, to metabolize those nutrients. So if they're just increasing it in sugar and white bread, it'll get the calories, but the nutrients are lacking there to metabolize and make that food into energy for them. So so optimal levels is what we're about. That's what Dr. Shackley talked about. That's what Dr. Linus Pauling talked about, finding that level that you can optimize your health. And yes, diet is first. That's the foundation. And there's things in your foods, in a lot of supplements, we put things in there that we know and we have discovered, but there may be some vitamins we've never discovered. There's phytochemicals we've never discovered yet There's still, every year we were researching, finding out more, but that's in your whole plant foods, these wonderful phytochemicals synergistically also work with a lot of the vitamins and the nutrients that we know of to work together for better utilization and optimization.
That's so great. Well, the two landmark studies, the first one done by Dr. Block at UC Berkeley, and the second one 10 years later with Paul Jakes at Tufts, definitely showed that, because I know for sure that not every Shaklee person in that study was optimizing the actual food they ate. I would guess that on the whole, they're probably a lot better off than the general population, but I know my colleagues. A lot of them aren't getting it.
I know that too. I know that
they're not totally vegan and all that. So, and they're not.
Well, that's where, and that's where too, it brings up the nutrient levels to a level that they may be missing. So the shortcomings, the shortfalls that most Americans, even those that are trying to eat their healthiest, they have to be short in some. There's some of them they are short in. And that's where, the multi and other additional supplements can help meet that.
Well, yeah, because the bottom line, after everything was said and done, and a lot was said and a lot was done, there's a lot of data there. But the bottom line was that Shaklee 73-year-olds had 1/3 the adverse health outcomes as 73-year-olds in the population that were matched and all that, who didn't take a supplement, or even 73-year-olds who took a garden variety multivitamin.
Right.
I think that does speak to the value, doesn't it?
Yes, and that was a good study. In fact, that video that I shared with Dr. Coonan and Linus Pauling and also Dr. Block talking, exchanging that, they were just reporting on a few studies that they had just learned about where supplementation showed a benefit in reducing heart disease risk and so forth. If Dr. Block had done that study earlier, I'm sure a lot of that discussion would be revolving around the studies, the Shaklee studies, because that's the whole thing that she would say, and I would say, is we need more research to show this, because people get mixed up. There's studies for years that were getting good things, and then they get some study that says, oh, they're not as good. But then those studies haven't been designed that well, or they may be only using synthetic, or they're using very low amounts to make a difference.
Right. Well, great. Well, John, this has really been enjoyable. We'll have you back soon. Any kind of final thoughts for everyone?
Well, one of the things you mentioned is, how important is it when you get a supplement that the company, what are some of the important things? This is vitally important, because I'm going to tell you, I've been in the industry. I've gone to conferences where I've met with people from other companies, and I'm just appalled at some of the things they're saying. I remember Dr. Shangra, who was head of the School of Pharmacy in Maryland. He's the one that really got the whole industry to say, hey, we need to do dissolution and studies, because he was finding out that a lot of the supplements on the market went right through you. Now, this is very interesting. My discussion, I had dinner with him. This is very interesting, because the reason he got interested in this is because, and here I am, vegan, and I have all these vegetables I'm eating, talking to him. He got interested in this because he hates vegetables. So he relies all on supplements. I said, I've never met anyone like you. And he said, yes. He said, because I found out that I want my supplements to break down and go into dissolution so I could absorb them and nutrients. So he came to Shaklee, and he was so impressed. He even told me, he said, you are very interesting to meet, because most of the people that I meet in the industry, I go to companies, he says, they don't even have a nutritionist on staff. Their supplements are put together by marketing and sales people, whatever the latest fad is. And that's what in Shaklee we often call the shooting stars are here today and gone tomorrow. So you'll see these products come out, and that company a few years later isn't there. So one of the key things is in getting a supplement, you want a company that's been around for a long time, that has known for their scientific integrity, that has a well-established product line that people have been using for years. And they have scientists and nutritionists on their staff developing and formulating these products, not just some guy thinking, I'll throw this in and throw that in, and we'll sell it for this, marketing salesperson, but really scientists that review the literature. Every Shaklee supplement that I was involved in when I was at Shackley, I had to write a white paper on the idea or the concept first, and with all the research to show why this would be a need for a Shackley product. And then we need to, and it has to have good studies, peer-reviewed scientific journals. And so you want a company that has biochemists and nutritionists, and we have the microbiologist testing the materials coming in to make sure there's no contamination. And Shackley does, hundreds of tests on the materials and the ingredients that go into the product for quality, for efficacy, for safety. That's very important. The other thing is Shackley has a scientific advisory board. We bring in, and I've actually helped, we had a great scientific advisory board when I was there, and I actually helped plan some of the scientific advisory board meetings that we met annually, and even bringing other scientists from different fields to have discussions about things so that we are kept up on the latest research in nutrition and science. And we bounce the ideas off these scientists. So here's a product, here's a formula, what do you think? Myron Winnick, for instance, when I worked on the Vital E for children, he was at Columbia University. He's a physician, he's a nutritionist. He gave me some input as I was sharing some of the ideas as we upgraded the children's supplements, so that's the other thing. Believe it or not, there are supplement companies, they have some products, they get all this stuff coming in, they don't even test it. They say, oh, okay, this Chinese product that came in, we'll trust what it is. We'll just put it in and put it in a tablet. So that's the importance, and that's what we've always called the Shackley difference, the science and integrity of the products in the company. And of course, our founder, Dr. Forrest Shackley, he insisted on the best quality. As he always said, I will not put out a product that will harm a tissue cell. Remember that? He used to always talk about that.
I remember.
And there have been times where a raw material would come in, it would be tested in the micro, and they say, we can't use this. And then Shackley may not, another company, we find out the other companies are using a similar material, and they'll put it on the market. Shackley will say, no, we can't, this doesn't meet our standards. And even if we lost hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, we won't put it out until we get the right product, right.
And I think to close up, that is the bottom line. That's what I wanted to lift up, that no one's going into a company to look at their labs or their lack of labs or their quality or their tableting or their pressure on the tableting or anything. We have to feel confident in the company, and it's best to make that decision based on actual fact, based on actual practice. I think that's what you're saying, that Shackley utterly and absolutely walks their talk, and that's critically important.
That's critically important.
Oh, good. Well, John, thank you for spending time with us. It's always enjoyable. I always learn something when I talk with you.
Well, and great folks, to be with you today.
Thank you for listening. And
I want to mention too, for those, I am in private practice. I know there's some, I do some counseling with some of the Shackley distributors and sales leaders and so forth. And you can see my website, Longevity RDN. RDN stands for Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, longevityrDN.com. And I do counseling specifically designed for those that are in Shackley.
And it's so valuable for that. And I will go ahead and put that website in the comments. So, John, thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.